And these trams, the doors fold up and then back down again. These trams are really huge.
Today we'll be visiting all these areas, and you never know, we might even catch a production crew at work. Here's Clayton at 16 tons. Now, also on the right, a bit closer to the ground, you'll see one of our prop warehouses. You might recognize some of these vehicles over here. Those two futuristic-looking cars are from the movie Blade Runner. We've also got a classic black car, which brings folks from the movie The Untouchables. Now, let's see, starting with this taxi cab on back, you'll see several colorful cars from the movie Dick Tracy. That is, of course, with the exception of the Tomb Patrol van there from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Now back over to the left, you'll see our production bungalows where we house the production crews working. Chuck has steered us into a branch of our greens department. Green is often used to hide what the camera is not supposed to see. For example, cast of characters here in the greens department, these sculpted figures are known as topiaries and can take over 10 years to fully develop. For example, that elephant count, you'll see a large twisted structure, and no, that's not a plant, that's a prop. It was used as a flower stem in the movie Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. But right now, I see we're entering one of our more glamorous departments. This is the world and live entertainment needs. While we're in this area, you'll be seeing some of the original costumes worn by Madonna and Warren Beatty from the movie Dick, with over 2.5 million garments, a small portion of which you see right here. However, it does take more than just costumes to create a television show or movie, and so beyond our costuming department, you'll see our lighting department. And now don't let this dimly lit room fool you, because we can provide up to 3.5 million watts of light for use on or off the lot. This is enough power to light up the entire city of Orlando.
Bethany, see this outfit?
And then next up, you'll see our makeup workshop, where we're currently displaying some of the 45 different masks and maskettes used to create the villains from the movie Dick Tracy. Now the next two rooms combine to create our camera department. And last but certainly not least, you'll see our scenic shop. Now carpenters begin construction of sets in here, which are later finished on the sound stages. These talented artisans have created a turntable that rotated the sets of the Mickey Mouse Club. And just recently, they finished all the sets for a new Canadian television special that will be starring Anne Murray, as well as all...
This is where they make the sets.
You see, when a production crew, we can even control the weather. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. Right now, the next house you see on the right is a Midwestern-style home that was used in the Touchstone comedy Ernest Saves Christmas, starring Jim Varney. 1963 Cadillac Coupe de Ville in the driveway. That Cadillac is from the movie 10 Men, starring Richard Dreyfuss and Danny DeVito. Home of B. Arthur, Betty White, Rue McClanahan, and Estelle Getty. Together with the interior footage shot on a soundstage out in Burbank, California, to create the finished show, which of course takes place in look. They've been at work in this last blue house on the left. You'll notice things like the toys in the yard, the flag house playground, the backyards of any one of the homes on Residential Street. That's pretty amazing considering none of our houses have back walls, much less backyards. Upsetting. However, if our story doesn't take place in a small town, that's no problem. Right up ahead of us is the urban counterpart to Residential Street. Yes, it's our own little slice of the Big Apple, New York Street. We will be visiting there in just a few moments. However, I think we're going to take you on a bit of a detour here. Going to take you a bit deeper into our backlot. Oh, well, okay, I do understand I've got a great face for frog on this construction effect. Yes, the Rambo circus wagon there. We've also got the blue helicopter piloted by Roy Scheider in the movie Blue Thunder. And these train cabs marked 4449 are from the movie Tough Guy, starring Burt Lancaster and Kirk Douglas. Now you Star Wars fans will recognize the Silver Snowspeeder piloted by Mark Hamill in The Empire Strikes Back, and the brown flame sand skip used by Billy D. Williams and Harrison Ford to escape the sandpit monster in Return of the Jedi. And that funny-looking silver space pod's from the Flight of the Navigator. We actually have two of these pods here in our boneyard. This one has an opening in it, showing the actors as they moved in and out. There's another one a little bit further up that has no opening, and that was used to film all the flight sequences. Now you Who Framed Roger Rabbit fans will recognize this red and orange electric trolley car here. But if you look closely, you can see it's not a real trolley car at all. It's actually just a modified bus. And behind those fiberglass trolley wheels, you'll see rubber bus tires. Now, this did save us quite a bit of expense because we didn't have to lay tracks where we wanted to move this particular prop. I see we're also passing our executive yacht club here. Of course, this is the only yacht club I know of that has its own space pod in it. You're also going to see some gears from the movie Dick Tracy from the pivotal drawbridge scene. But you remember how I said the houses on Residential Street were just facades? If you look across the canal to the right, get a real backstage view. And as you can see, there's not a lot of privacy in this community. Notice how the architectural details, such as the shingles on the roof and the entire back wall of the house, just stop beyond camera range. Well, that's because we only build what the camera needs to see. Let's suppose the camera needs to see something that wasn't there. Like, say, an environment you can find here in Central Florida. For example, where in Central Florida can you find an active oil field in the middle of a dry area? Well, while we are in this area, I must remind everyone once again to remain completely seated at all times. We're going to be passing over a rather bumpy wood bridge while we're in here. We don't want anyone to become an instant stunt for all the special effects that are up in here. I think it was well worth the effort. Now, that large tanker truck up there is a good example of a large-scale prop like we saw at the Boneyard, but it wasn't easy getting it in here. We couldn't just drive it across this ravine, so we had to hoist it over the canyon walls and lower it into place with a crane. But you remember how I said we could even control the weather back here? Well, say your story calls for a real downpour. Since time is money in the movie-making business, you can't sit around and wait for Mother Nature. So when the cameras are ready to roll, the rain's got to be ready to fall. But more importantly, it's got to fall on cue. Now, this solution is created by high-powered water spouts located overhead and out of camera range. Spouts on the end of these spouts throw water outward in a circular pattern to give the rain a more natural look as it falls. Well, I told you you'd be getting wet. I did exaggerate somewhat. Just to do that. Wait a minute. C1 take two. Oh, no. We've got a little problem. They seem to be shooting right now. Well, we're going to have to ride those out because we can't take off in the middle of an earthquake like this.
You're missing a fire behind you.
Hey, guys, we've got some fires down here. Can we do something about this, please? Oh, that's hot. Well, don't worry. It can't possibly get in. Catastrophe Canyon. What do you think? Yeah, all right. You know, I have got to tell you are some fantastic actors and actresses. We're all clear. Hey, you know, I heard some screams of terror in there that sounded very real. Yeah. And, you know, I just love the way the canyon brings families so much closer together. Yeah, that was great. You know, a few of you even managed to look like you were getting wet. Yeah. Oh, you were getting wet, huh? Oh, well, don't worry. The effects were off about 30 minutes or so. But in case you haven't guessed yet, Catastrophe Canyon is not going to be a real movie. However, all those special effects you saw were real. We're going to take you behind the scenes and show you how they were created. Guys, you can see the explosion.
Now you don't have to
One of the
go in
larger
there, huh?
white pipes carries the water for the flood. That flash flood was created when we opened the gates for 3 large tanks at the top of the canyon, sending over 70,000 gallons of water crashing towards our shuttle. As if this wasn't enough to add a little action to the scene, we shot some of that water through the green air cannons there in the background to give it the illusion of bouncing off the rocks at the bottom. Those air cannons are so powerful that if we put a basketball in one, we could shoot it up over the top of the Empire State Building. But not from here. No, we'd have to be in New York to do that. Now, the earthquake was created by hydraulic shaker tables located underneath these shuttle cars. Those are powerful enough. We put a compact car on one, turn it all the way up. We can throw it over the railing and into the bottom of the canyon. Now, Catastrophe Canyon was created with the help of a Hollywood special offenders. Well, anyways, as you can see, being in complete control is what makes working on a studio backlot so perfect for film crews. Actually, all Walt Disney World's like a giant backlot with a showcase pavilions. Effective thing, yeah. Now, also right here on the corner, you'll see 3 blue cars from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. As you do turn the corner, if you look over to the right, you see some of the steel straw blocks. In fact, it only goes back for a block and a half. It's an old movie-making trick known as forced perspective. Those are just our states over 100 stories tall, while ours is just over 4. But now, I'm afraid we're just about out of time. Yes, we're coming to the end of the Backstage Studio Tour. However, just like every good movie, we do have a sequel. We call it the Inside the Magic Tour. You'll be visiting the